What's up, everybody? We are back here on eXhuming the X-Files on the Outpost Unknown YouTube channel. My name is Matthew, joined once again by Jeremy.
Hey everybody, how you doing?
And we are finishing off a two-part mytharc episode. Last week we talked about Piper Maru. This week we're talking Apocrypha, directed by Kim Manners, written again by Frank Spotnitz and Chris Carter. All right, Jeremy, how are you feeling going into this episode?
I'm so excited I was so excited for this because I know how this ends, and I think of all the things that I had ever seen out of these episodes, what happens at the tail end of this episode stuck out to me maybe most because of, oh my god, it was so horrifying, but
yeah,
so delicious. Like, what is going? Oh man, this is as good as X-Files gets.
Yeah, it's great.
So
what happened? Let's talk about that prologue.
It's an old tape reel recording of somebody that was interviewed from that sub from the last episode 50 years ago, rescuing those planes or whatever they were doing down there. He's all burnt up and he's pissed off. He's like, to hell with you. To hell with the truth. Like, I want the people who and he called them murderers, the people who gave them orders in order to go down there. He wants all of them accounted for, and he'll burn in hell before he tells the murderers that sent them in there anything. So it flashes back to this black and white scene from the previous episode where they lock the cabin in the room with all of the infected guys. And was it this episode or was it the last episode we probably didn't cover that the black oil washes over the captain's eyes?
Yeah, we see it in the last episode, and then they kind of show what happens after that moment in this one.
So they shut the door, they lock the door, the black ooze starts oozing out over his eyes. He doesn't do anything hostile or threatening towards anybody, but he gets his fucking skull pipe wrenched anyway. Some dude just runs up behind him and just falls over. And then they look at him, and all of a sudden, all of his holes are just leaking black oil. His eye holes, ear holes, mouth, whatever holes,
buttholes,
is just leaking all of this black oil out and into a drain that's on the floor. They think that they were sent down there not to rescue anybody, but to guard whatever that black oil stuff was. And he thinks that once it went down into that drain, that oil went back into the ocean, went back out into the sea. And he starts yelling at him, the guys that are interviewing him, these looks like FBI guys, that they need to go back down there because that thing is still down there. They need to, make sure that the truth is known. And then doesn't he address him by name? Does he call him Mulder?
Yeah, I think he says Mr. Mulder. Yeah, somebody says Mulder at the beginning, yeah.
Make sure that the truth gets out, Mr. Mulder. I'm like, what? Yeah. Fox's dad is there interviewing this guy way back in the day? And then he's like, or then it cuts to this other dude who lights up a cigarette. He's like in his, late 20s, whatever. And he talks exactly like the cigarette smoking man. It's like, yeah, we'll make sure the truth gets out. Sure.
And very strange overdub. I would have rather them not used like a 60-year-old man's voice for a 29-year-old guy. I mean, I get it that he smokes, but it did sound weird. But it was cool. Like this whole sort of thing that happened in the submarine was cool, and just the fact that this is the first time we've seen Mulder's dad and Cigarette Smoking Man young. Like, it's like, oh shit, they were doing all of this crazy shit back in the 50s or whatever. I mean, that's how long all of this stuff has really been going on, and it was just cool. It was cool to watch all that.
I thought that they casted them well. It just opened up that whole, there's more mystery. These guys were tied together, for 50 plus years. How far back does this go? What was Mulder's dad really? Yeah. What did he have to do with conspiracy? And, I like it when they ask those questions. So we get the title screen. Then it cuts to Scully is at the hospital, lauding over Skinner's shooting. I don't know why anybody would listen to her in this point. They're treating her like she's the next in line underneath Skinner, and she's like making sure that all of the evidence about where he was being shot at, all the hair, like they're not going to do what happened to her sister to him. It's like this is a fucking
Yeah.
assistant director of the FBI. This is an all hands on deck sort of thing, and she's talking to the laziest agents in the world. They're like, well, tired. They're making up all these excuses as to why they don't have guards posted on the door. Nothing.
Yeah. The assistant director gets shot, then I mean that's an assassination attempt. I mean that's how they would see that until they did a full investigation, and if they found out this guy was just some wacko rando person in that diner, but somebody that important in the government gets shot, they're treating that as someone that might be continuing to try to assassinate them, and we have to have guards everywhere.
But they're not. And there's no it makes it seem like maybe it's purposeful but not. It also comes across as just like stupidity, ignorance, I don't
Yeah,
know, laziness, but
probably budget cuts.
budget cuts. But Scully is there, she's taking charge of the investigation, she's making sure that Skinner is being seen to, and then she catches him being wheeled from the OR to somewhere else. And Skinner doesn't have a lot to say outside of he tells her that he's seen the dude that shot him before today. Cuts to Mulder. He makes it to the US. They're in a rental agency renting a car. He makes Krychek drive, but he makes him give him, or Mulder give him the key, or sorry, he makes Krychek give him the key for whatever this digital tape is at, because we're still on that fucking storyline.
Yeah. I did make a note before you continue. I did make a note here that I would have loved to have seen just a quick scene of Mulder and Krychek together on that plane flight. Like, can you imagine what the conversation between them would have been on that 7-hour flight or however long it takes from Hong Kong to the United States? The two of them just sitting next to each other in that plane.
You know, I gotta look that up now. How long is a flight from Hong Kong to, well, where would they have landed at?
Well, yeah,
They need
because
to
they
get
were
to New
in.
York.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, they would have had to have gotten. They were in New York, weren't they? Or Washington, D.C., at least somewhere around there on the East Coast. Because we run into the lone gunmen. The lone gunmen are helping and everything. There'd be multiple flights.
One day, 5 hours. That's what I'm seeing here on Jesus, what a flight. From Hong Kong to DC. So anyway, um they they suddenly are getting followed by somebody who's driving down the road without their headlights on. They get smashed off the road. These suits get out and they start like they draw down on Krychek. They don't know that he's possessed by this black oil or whatever. They get him out of the car. Like Mulder's out of it. This was pre-airbag, so if you get in a good ditch wreck, you might bump your head on the dashboard really hard because seatbelts are still kind of shit back then. But he bakes them. Krychek bakes the two guys and then gets away. It cuts back to Scully, and all she's really doing is kind of worrying over Skinner, and like she's still trying to get the investigation and the protection detail going, and she's just like, none of this is happening fast enough. By the time any of you guys get anything done, like whoever did this is going to be long gone. She's really pissed off about it, but still, everybody that's involved is just dragging their feet.
It is strange. It feels like a necessary plot point. Like they're trying to figure out, so like they had nothing for Scully to do, and so they just have to like have her doing this this sort of meaningless task of trying to find people to protect Skinner.
They recover the bodies that Krychek baked. They show them to the cigarette smoking man while they're still alive. He's like, Yep, they're really toasted. And on his way out of the room, he's like, "Have the bodies destroyed." And the dude that's with him's like, "But they're not dead yet." And what is his line? He's like,
Oh, he was like, well, that's the diagnosis, right? Or something like that. He's like,
"Yeah."
prognosis is they're going to die because the doctor even tells cigarette smoking man there's no way that they're just going to get malignant tumors all over their bodies. And I want to see the
And
scene. Did that doctor kill them? Did the doctor burn those bodies while they're alive? Did the doctor kill them first and then burn the bodies? What happened there?
he seemed like that wasn't the answer that he was expecting. It's like, you okay,
Right.
you're the how are you tied to this organization and you're not just fully
This
aware of what your job is?
this guy just ordered me to murder these people. Seems
What?
odd.
Okay, what? It wasn't just your local like dude at the hospital. He was like the mafia doctor, but for the government fucking G-men. Like you don't get into
Right.
that sort of position unless you know the score. So when you're sitting
Yeah.
there like, I can't believe he just told me to murder these guys. Like that's just part
I
of the
mean,
fucking job, dude.
all those doctors had a Hippocratic oath, Jeremy. Do no harm to your patient. Maybe he just
Uh-huh.
really believed in it.
They got guys that are rounding up lepers and dudes with big heads and just gunning them down and throwing them into ditches. Like none of these people have problems killing others, especially if they're on fucking death's doorstep, having been microwaved for a while. It's not. But anyway, okay, I'm gonna get not hung up on this one guy's stupid ass facial expression for being told to do his job. And so there Scully has Mulder in the hospital, tells him what's going on. They somehow get like a DNA test of the dude that had shot Skinner, and finds that it's the same. The DNA matches the guy that killed Scully's sister, Melissa, and so that just like that gives Scully something to do in this episode.
Yeah.
Cuts to the room of the top men, the weirdos that like are all the conspirators
The
around the
syndicate.
world. Is that what they are? The syndicate? I keep
Yeah.
calling them the top men. Okay, so the cigarette smoking man is not there. They're talking. They actually use the word UFO in that scene, which I thought was cool. But
Yeah.
they're speculating about that there's a leak within their organization, and again, they're like the cigarette smoking man, who's their American person, or he's the governor of what happens within the United States, is like he's fucking up again. He's the leak. He's letting all of this stuff out. We need to put this guy in check. Um, Skinner is awake again. Cut back to him. He's telling Scully that, yeah, the shooter that attacked me in a hallway when I was with Krychek, and then tells Scully like, if you're getting too close to this, if you can't keep it or keep your head in the game, it's okay to step away. And she has this kind of stupid line. It's like, that's exactly what they want.
Yeah.
Scully, you haven't done anything in this episode other than bitch at people about not doing their jobs. Then we get this Scully narration scene where she's filling out a requisition form to investigate Krychek. She's asking for resources from the FBI to find Krychek. Like this scene is so stupid. It's there.
I like the
Um,
scene where right around this point, Scully goes down into Mulder's basement office, and he's got the fucking diving suit down there. This giant diving suit. It reminds me, he's got it like hooked up on this thing, like in Fallout, where you put power armor on that thing. I'm sitting here thinking like, how the fuck did Mulder get this thing down into his basement? Like, where's the scene of him ordering these poor people to try to like bring this thing in and set it up in his basement? I want to see that scene.
you've seen those ramps, right? That are outside of buildings. They got like a big cement ramp. It goes down to the basement floor where you back a semi up, and there's like a roll open door. and it's a loading dock essentially, but it loads into the basement directly. Surely you've seen these before.
Yeah.
Mulder just has one right next to himself.
Oh, okay. That makes sense.
Okay, so now that we have that cleared up, you're right, because he's investigating the oil substance that they found all over the outside of that suit, and he finds that the oil itself was the same oil that they used in the submarine, the same type of weight oil that they used in the planes, and that it was covered all of the suit, and it has the one of the biggest leaps to jump into is like the alien must be emulsified in this oil or living in this oil, and it's jumping from person to person. Like he's never seen anything
Yeah.
that would lead him to this conclusion.
It is so ridiculous that the writers of this episode literally put in a line where Mulder's like, I know, that's quite the leap, or something. He says something hilarious, but then Scully just goes along with it. Like, she questions him on the smallest bullshit. But then she's like, okay, yeah, I'll go along for the ride on this one. It's so weird. It's like they wrote themselves into a corner, and they're like, we have to have Mulder figure this out. How would he figure this out? He wouldn't. So let's just write this weird thing where it's kind of a joke between the two, and the audience will forget about it and move on.
Yeah, we talk to these nerds on the internet all the time. They'll just eat up whatever we fucking write. So, and we did. I ate it up. So they leap to that huge conclusion. It's a conspiracy episode, so of course we need to incorporate the lone gunman. So the lone gunmen are at this skating rink. They're all like skating on this ice skating rink and they don't even need to do it, but they skate around until they're reasonably sure they're not being watched, and then they go to a locker where where the digital tape should be. They bring it to Mulder. They're like, hey, we should do this fucking NSA spy shit more often. We're really good at it. And Mulder says something about, yeah, if anybody shoots anybody, like, you guys could take it in the kneecaps before I do. I can't remember what the time was. But he opens it up. The digital tape, the envelope, the sealed envelope is there. The plastic case for it is still there. The digital tape is gone.
Dang.
So they're
thwarted again.
So ends the saga of the digital tape from 12 episodes ago. We get back to, like, Krychek shows up at the cigarette smoking man's area. He gives him the digital tape.
He seems shocked to see Krychek too. Kinda. Like, he has that initial look on his face, like he can't believe it, but then he's got a guy there to protect him, because isn't that his apartment? Is he just sitting there watching television?
Well, no, there was a guy that was like, that escorted Krychek in at gunpoint, didn't he?
I don't think so, because I thought Cigarette Smoking Man says, like, well, I'm prepared or something, and then the guy pops up off screen, and you see the gun on Krychek. I'm pretty sure Krychek just showed up, knew where he was somehow. Voodoo, probably.
Voodoo.
And
well, yeah, because we do that here.
We do, and we will continue to do that.
Yeah,
for 6 more.
Whenever it wears thin, we will get there with voodoo. So anyway, he just shows up at where the cigarette smoking man is, provides him the digital tape, and very mysteriously asks him, "Where is it?" And the smoking man just kind of puffs on his cigarette and stares at him a little bit. It cuts over to the syndicate. The syndicate says something about, or they're talking about the UFO, some recovered UFO now. That, which one? Like, is it a UFO that was under the ocean 50 years ago and they recovered it? Was it recently recovered?
Yeah, I think it was no. I think it's the one that we've been talking about. It's the one that was under the ocean, and then the cigarette smoking man moved it without the permission of the syndicate.
But
Because
they
that's why
asked
they're pissed.
where it is, and they're like, the cigarette smoking man moved it, and then one of them said, it was a great scene because they start spilling a bunch of stuff like, why not move it to Nevada? Hint,
Yeah.
hint,
Oh,
Area
that was cool.
51. Why
Yeah.
not move it to Nevada like the others? And cigarette smoking man says leaks in security and public interest make it an unviable location. So they have multiple UFOs at Area 51 is what they've just said out loud in
Yeah.
the episode. Awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. As a kid, you're like, fuck yeah. Even as an adult, I'm like, hell yeah.
Fuck
Awesome.
yeah.
That's so cool.
But then they get on his ass that one of his hitters, the guy that went after Skinner, one of his hitters were identified by the lady at or the waitress, and they want that hitter like out of the country. They don't even say like go make sure that he can never speak about this ever again. Go make sure he gets killed. They just say, get him out of the country as soon as possible because if they find that guy, he's going to implicate you and then it's going to ruin all of our lives.
Yeah. Guy might just
Cuts
be
back.
really good at what he does. You don't want to necessarily just kill somebody that valuable. You're Hitman.
What? All right, what? Matt, let's talk. Let's talk about this particular hitman. They allude to his skills once that they recruited him out of was it the Sandinistas
Something
or
like
the
that. Yeah.
Nicaraguan Contras or something like that for his marksman abilities.
Yep.
They actually say that in the episode.
Yes, they do.
His job was to kill Skinner, and he had him at point blank range with a fucking gun that has existed since like 1879. It is such a good pistol. We still use that gun to this day.
Okay.
Point blank, shot him in the fucking stomach and then ran off. Didn't double tap him in the head. Nothing. Later in this very episode that we're talking
So,
about.
okay, hold up here because I think we might.
Wait.
Maybe I'm believing the bad guys again here. When the syndicate confronts Cigarette Smoking Man about this very thing, like, hey, dude, your dude went and shot the assistant director of the FBI. We cannot have that kind of shit. Cigarette Smoking Man looks like legitimately shocked because they hand him a newspaper with like a titty squatch drawing of this guy's face, and apparently everyone knows exactly who this guy is. Couldn't afford the artist from Grotesque to like actually do something decent, but it's like Cigarette Smoking Man's like, as far as I know, this was just a random thing. It could be. I'm just throwing a theory out here that awesome, amazing guy was just having a bad off day, and Skinner just popped up. He's like, fuck this. Boom, shot him and ran off. And that he wasn't actually intending to murder Skinner. This was
That's
just a
not true.
bad day.
That's
Okay.
not true.
Okay.
Because first of all, we have the only previous time where the syndicate was pissed off at the cigarette smoking man, the last time that we saw them in an episode. They were pissed off at him because he was fucking up the transportation of an alien embryo across the country or some shit like that. And they were like putting him on the chopping block. And his only defense was, well, I didn't know such and such was going on. He pretends that he doesn't know what's going on when he has full
Right.
like knowledge of everything that's fucking happening on his watch. He just has
But
to.
in that scene, many, many episodes ago, William B. Davis played it in such a way where you could tell that he actually knew, but he was just saying that and just speaking the words. In this, he actually plays it, in my opinion, like he's genuinely kind of shocked that this guy was doing it. And he's just like, I'll handle it. I'll take care of this thing. But when they initially show him, watch that sequence again, when they initially confront him about it and show him the newspaper, he's like, what the fuck? Like, I don't know anything about this. Because he's like, why would the cigarette smoking man want to kill Skinner and bring all of those eyeballs, killing the assistant director on? Well, I guess technically, due to budget cuts, they can't even like put guards out in front of his hospital. So maybe that's the case. But like cigarette smoking, like, why would I kill Skinner? Like, what's his? At that point, Skinner's not doing anything to cigarette smoking man. It wouldn't
Yes,
make any
he
sense to
is.
kill him.
Cigarette smoking man sent those suits to cafe harassment to tell him, if you don't abandon this Melissa investigation, people like you don't survive very long in a town like this. It was a vague threat, but those were the cigarette smoking man's men to tell
Okay.
him to stop doing and he did. He kept on going, and that's when he sent Che Guevara, whatever his fucking name was, to shoot him. And you're wrong about him wanting to kill him, because he sends him back to finish the job. He sets this whole thing up where some random orderlies show up to take Skinner to a different hospital in an ambulance, unguarded,
Yeah.
all by himself. And the only reason that he didn't die was because Scully shows up, chases the ambulance down on foot, knocks on the window and says, hey, let me in the back.
Look,
And
at
he
a
does.
certain time, you just gotta clean it up. I'm just saying, in that moment, he may not have known that guy was going to do that. I'm just saying. Trust the bad guys, Jeremy.
So anyway, he sent this Nicaraguan hitman back to kill. He set the whole scene up to kill him in the back of this ambulance. And this sharpshooter, this guy that was recruited from the Sandinistas to be, or because he was just this stone cold killer with a gun, like fucking fails to shoot Scully again. Like all she does is open the door, and he's like, whoa! And then shoots.
Well,
you remember that, right?
Yeah. It looked like when she opened it, like it was filmed very weird, but it almost looked like she tried to wait till he got right up to the door, and then she kind of slammed the door on him, and so he fell backwards, and he wasn't expecting someone to be in there when he got smacked.
Have you personally? I know you haven't driven a lot over the years, Matt. Have you ever opened a very heavy vehicle door before?
Yes, I've opened a heavy. Yeah.
Have you? Did you do it by reaching up to the handle and then leaning your cheek against the door?
Well, look, Jeremy. Look. We are we're in a different universe. Different rules apply.
Yeah, you do give. All right, yeah, you open. Oh, man. So anyway, this assassin, this fucking master marksman, just wildly shoots the door of the ambulance and then leads this brief chase where Scully just takes him out, and he begs not to be.
Don't shoot me.
Yeah, don't shoot me.
I know where Krychek is.
I know just conjuring up that name in order to just get out of trouble.
Because Scully wants to kill him right there, because that's the guy who killed her sister.
And then the local cops show up. She draws down on him in an alley. And what I wrote was kind of funny, was that the local cops show up. They pull out their guns. They're like, "Ma'am, drop the gun!" And I was like, Jumpy cops nowadays, when she started fishing in her pocket for her badge, they would have just gunned her down. They wouldn't have even waited. Yeah.
I wrote that exact same thing. My note says, Scully is holding a gun on this dude. Then the cops are drawn on her, telling her to put the gun down, and she just reaches into her trench coat to pull out her badge. She would have been shot.
Oh, yeah. Well, today she would have been shot. Back then, cops were less.
They wanted to see the gun before they pulled the trigger.
They wanted to be sure that lives were in danger before they killed somebody. They're not. Cops aren't that way anymore.
Oh, by the way, I did have a note up here. It says, the well-manicured man says a UFO was salvaged from the bottom of the ocean, shot down by a fighter pilot.
Okay, so this would have been the 50-year-ago crash.
Right.
And he does, or while all of this is happening, yes, you called him the well-manicured man?
Yeah, that's what he's known for, or known as in X-Files fandom.
Well, he meets up with Mulder, because Mulder's hanging out with the lone gunman. They use this technique where they color in a piece of paper. This just the thinnest shit ever, but it's a phone number. The phone number leads him, or he calls it, and it's the room where the syndicate is just standing in. The well-manicured man talks to Mulder, arranges a meet, because he wants to know what Mulder knows. He doesn't think and he didn't think in the last episode that the cigarette man has any of their interest in mind. So he wants to know what Mulder knows. He shows up. He offers up Krychek as he to get info about what do you know. And so he tells the story about the Foo Fighter getting downed. He said, why didn't you just kill Krychek when you had an opportunity? And Mulder's like, well, because of this MacGuffin from 13 episodes ago. So tells him that anybody can be gotten to, that nobody is safe, that nobody's telling you the truth, that you should be listening to me kind of thing. But Mulder bails on him anyway because he uses that anybody can be gotten to thing and thinks Scully or Skinner is in danger. And that's when Scully shows up and finds that some random orderlies put Skinner in an ambulance, which led to the whole fucking stooge assassin attempt again. I completely botched it. But he gets told, and he grabs Scully and says that this salvage UFO is in a missile bunker in bumfuck North Dakota. And the first time that I realize that I hear this, and they actually go to North Dakota, like he tells Scully to just book the next flight to North Dakota. They don't even know the name of a town in North Dakota to book a flight to. Just take us there. Truth is, probably only one airport anyway. So they go there, and I'm thinking this is just what they did during, what is it, Fallen Angel, Broken Angel, whatever. They're just misdirecting and sending them out to bumfuck nowhere, so that it's like, as long as Scully and Mulder are looking over here, we can do this thing over there. But that's not the case at all. Nope. They're talking about how they filled in all of these bunkers with concrete, so there should be nothing down there. But Mulder breaks in anyway, and they find that there's power down there. There's all of these empty silos and stuff. It's actually a very cool set piece.
Yeah. We get the classic flashlights that we know and love. No more
with the fog.
Yeah, so they really got a lot of mileage out of having those actors just wave the flashlights around.
And then they find two barbecue. Well, at first, all the lights are off, and I'm like, did they find a barbecued ninja? It's a dude wearing the little mask that you can only see through the eye holes. And then all of a sudden, all the lights kick on. It's like 3 barbecued guys. There's a military unit there that arrests them, escort them out. They walk straight into the cigarette smoking man. The cigarette smoking man he yells at him. It's like, tells him, the cigarette smoking man, I've seen the bodies that are down there. You can't just cover it up. It's like, you've seen nothing. Keeps walking past him. Goes downstairs, and there's the greatest fucking scene. Oh God, I love this scene. The cigarette smoking man is staring at a door that's closed. Door 1013. I don't know if that door means anything, but it's closed.
The production company. Oh. Remember 1013 shows up all over the place in X-Files as the production company.
So, and he's satisfied that Mulder didn't see what was ever on the other, or whatever was on the other side of this door, because it's still shut. He lights a cigarette, he smiles, he turns around and walks away. Then we get this close-up of the biggest chocolate brownie I've ever seen. And it sounds like some dude is just throwing a hump into it. He's like, oh. But then it zooms out. And I think, in my opinion, this is both the grossest and the coolest effect that they've done in this show to date, because I still don't understand how they did it. Krychek is on the top of a pyramid-shaped UFO, and out of his ears, out of his eyes, out of his mouth, and out of his nose is just this stream of goop just pouring out of his face. And it's so fucking horrifying. Like, how uncomfortable was that actor doing that at that point? Because that had to feel like, imagine if you what it feels like just opening your eyes in a cold, clean pool. Now, open your eyes in like black fucking Nickelodeon gack slime. That's got to be like traumatizing.
Yeah. It looks amazing, though. I mean, that effect holds up to this day. Yeah.
But he's barfing, like all of this black oil is coming out of him and being absorbed by this UFO. So the UFO, or this flying saucer, well, not a saucer, this triangle, is absorbing the alien so that the alien can take off, can leave somewhere. Don't really know.
Yeah, is it trapped in there?
But
Like, it's weird. I don't know. I don't know how it gets out of there.
we we see that swirl again in the future, if I recall correctly, because there's a swirl pattern, almost like a hieroglyphic carved into the top of the UFO, and I'm pretty sure we see that again, maybe in the movie or the episodes leading up to the movie, but we'll get there someday. Um, we get to this scene where Scully is visiting her sister's grave, putting flowers on it. Mulder shows up with two of the pinkest fucking roses in the world. Um, you think she's gonna get closure, then she has to say it out loud for the studio, stupid audience. Like, I thought that when they found her killer and brought him to justice, she would get closure. The killer is dead, though, because that's why Mulder is there. The
Yeah.
killer had been suicided, had been found
Yeah,
committing
he'd been
suicide, but they
Epsteined.
both, yeah, that's great, Epstein. But she does repeat a line that an old guy had said in the previous episode, that old friend of her dad's, that when the dead are speaking to us, that's our conscience. That's kind of a cool line
Yeah.
from these last two episodes. But she mentions that when the dead, she thinks the dead are speaking to us and they demand justice. And then the final scene of the episode goes back to room 1013, and Krychek is there, and he's alive, and he's beating on this metal door, wanting to get out, but he can't get out.
Yeah.
And that's
Just
it.
screaming for help. Let him out. And then you wonder, it's like, well, is that the end of Krychek? Will that be our last image of the fucking weasel Krychek? We'll
Is it
find out.
ever? Is it ever?
All right. So, your thoughts? How'd you feel about this episode? Did it stick the landing from Piper Maru?
This is another one that was just like the season opener. I remember after him barfing all of that fucking black oil into the UFO, that me, you, and Brady probably didn't shut up about this episode for at least a week. Like, it
Yeah.
was one of the coolest things, maybe the coolest thing we'd seen in the show today. It was awesome.
Yeah.
I loved it. I can't get enough of shit like this.
Yeah. This is a cool episode. I definitely think it sticks the landing. And like I said, that image of Krychek at the just all of that oil coming out of every fucking
Oh,
opening in his head
and it's all like
is,
soupy and
and it's the performance too, just the way he's like it sounds so painful and awful. Oh god, it's so good. But yeah, excellent episode. I mean, I would recommend anybody out there watch these two back to back, because it really is impactful when you put both of them together. So big thumbs up for me on this one. Trivia. The episode's title is a reference to biblical Apocrypha. Apocrypha. Why can I not say that word? Apocrypha, which series creator Chris Carter felt was appropriate to the episode's thematic concerns, hidden documents and truths not brought to light. Director Kim Manners had directed a number of standalone Monster of the Week episodes, but this was his first mythology-centered episode. Manners explained that there is some individual creative contribution from the directors in standalone episodes, but that with the mythology episodes, what you need as a director is just to be sure that the performances are there and that the yarn is presented in its cleanest and most interesting fashion. Now, Nicholas Lea was fitted with a mask with tubes for the scene where the alien black oil leaves his body. Lea said filming the scene was horrible, and the scene ended up having to be filmed again a few days later. The similar scene from the start of the episode with the submarine captain was accomplished with a dummy head. The depiction of the oil in this scene was originally filmed using a magnetic fluid pulled along with magnets, although the end result was deemed not to be menacing enough and looked a little bit comic. To fix this, the soundstage used to represent the submarine's interior was rebuilt so it could be rocked back and forth, with the movement being used to guide the flow of a different liquid. This effect was then enhanced digitally in post-production. So yeah, they literally put a mask on him and just pumped oil through tubes with that mask on. And according to him, it was horrible. And they made him do it twice. Poor guy. The missile silo used for the episode's climactic scene was incomplete when the scene was filmed, and the crew did not have enough time or money left to complete the set. The crew built the incomplete silo on a soundstage around a completed spaceship prop and were able to digitally extend the set with computer-generated interiors to give the impression of a much larger silo. Exterior shots of the silo building were also enhanced digitally, with various buildings and machinery created with computer-generated imagery and composited into the exterior shots. And it looks real good. Like, they did a really good job with that, making it look like it was an actual legitimate set for most of those things. So good on them. And the last piece of information here, which is kind of interesting. Terrorist Timothy McVeigh, a fan of the X-Files, asked his defense team to watch the episode Apocrypha with him to showcase its covert meetings in the night, secret goings-on, and ghost government. At McVeigh's request, his attorneys included questions on the X-Files in the jury screening questionnaire. That's fucking wild. So yeah, there you go. That's our episode on Apocrypha. Stay tuned next Friday, where hopefully I can say the word Apocrypha. I still can't say it, Jeremy. Why can't I say that word? Say the word for me.
Apocrypha?
Apocrypha. Apocrypha. I don't know. It sounds weird when I say it. Anyway, thanks for listening, everybody. We'll see you next Friday. Hit that like and subscribe. Tell me again in the comments if I'm just putting too much faith in the bad guys and trusting what they say. Good night, everybody.